Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the MSI Meg X299 Creation, a high-end gaming motherboard from MSI, which is compatible with Intel's Core X series of processors. They've been using it for a new build, which involves the Intel Core i9-9980XE Extreme CPU. I chose this motherboard for a number of reasons, the first of which is this really awesome design. It has Mystic Light capabilities, which means it has RGB built into it, but it also has this really cool heat shield on the front, which covers over the three M2 NVMe slots on the motherboard. It also comes with this awesome little mini M2 adapter, which plugs into your PCIe slot on the motherboard and enables you to add an extra 4 NVMe hard drives, which is just insane. So that means it can carry a total of 7 if you have the money and the madness. It only takes a 6-pin PSU connector as well, so it's really easy to plug in. Here's another view of this motherboard, and you can see it has a multitude of USB connections and other connections. I'll add a link in the description to the official page which shows you the specifications. Points of interest is that this uses triple 8-pin power supply connections on the top, the 24-pin on the bottom, and a PCIe power adapter on the underneath as well, which is pretty nuts. It has 8 SATA ports, and as I said, the 3 M2 slots on the motherboard. However, it does say that if you're using the top 2 M2 slots that you shouldn't use the first 2 SATA inputs, but it does mean that you can hold a multitude of hard drives, NVMe drives and SSD drives on here. For reference, I have 3 NVMe drives installed on the motherboard itself, 2 more in the adapter, and an Intel Optane memory stick. I also have 2 6TB standard platter hard drives and a Samsung Evo SSD drive in the rear. Another point of note is that this is a quad-channel motherboard. It supports 4 sticks of DDR4 RAM in 8 DIMMs. Oddly though, as I'll show you in a second, it requires you to plug them in a certain order, and that goes in slot A1, B1, C1 and D1. Unfortunately, they've spaced these out, so that basically means you have a gap between each stick. As you can see here, the labelling on the motherboard itself shows you A1, B1, and then on the other side C1 and D1, and it marks and shows you that those need to be plugged in first. So you can see this is what the result is. You have the weird spacing. That's obviously only with 2 sticks in, there's still more to put in. So that means you either need to fill the slots up with RAM for the full look, or you can invest in some clever lighting peripherals. Corsair do this really neat little attachment where you can get 4 sticks of fake RAM that is basically just lighting replacement. So if you've got RGB RAM, then that's an option if you want the full lighting effect without having to pay out for 8 sticks of RAM. It's worth bearing in mind I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM, and then it costs around £200. So to get 64 you need to spend £400, and considering the amount of money that the rest of this build cost, you probably wouldn't want to do that, although it is something I'm thinking about doing in the future. Here you can see the motherboard fully installed in the Corsair Crystal 680X, a new case from Corsair, which is absolutely delightful. I'll be doing an unboxing video if you want to see that, which goes into a bit more depth about that case, all the fans and everything else. You can see I've also vertically mounted the GPU. I'll be doing a video on that as well. That case allows for you to do that really easily, and it has some awesome cable management capabilities. I will also be doing a video on the problems with this motherboard, because there are a few. I had a number of issues with installing the operating system. I also had problems with the M2 adapter, and I have had problems with Intel Optane memory, which has been a right faff. Also trying to get the MSI's Dragon software to work properly with Mystic Light and things has been a nightmare. However, it is interesting because it does accept a number of plugs straight onto the motherboard, so it does support Corsair lighting, which you can plug straight into the motherboard, but only if you have it set up in a certain way, and other RGB lighting as well, so it's pretty cool. It is also a very good looking and capable motherboard. This has been The Provoked Prawn. Please like, subscribe and come back to see more in future, including the full unboxing of this motherboard and the video I was talking about where I'll talk about all the problems I've had with it.